Hello, everybody. We are back with this weird offset guitar. I've been waiting on the neck, and as you can see, it came. It's a baritone neck with a Jackson style. It's just a straight up Jackson ripoff headstock. Really cool wood grain on this fretboard though, and I didn't know it was gonna look that cool, and it kind of matches the flow of the lines of the guitar, so I really couldn't be happier with that. It's a Chinese cheap neck, unfinished, frets are rough, comes with this plastic nut, but it was cheap. I'm happy with it. So I got it bolted up here. Not a perfect fit. There's a gap. I don't know if you can see it right there, but I got it butted up against that wall. I did some sanding to get it shaped into the neck pocket on the bottom there pretty tight. So I think that's probably good, but there is a problem now. And the problem is the scale length. This is a baritone neck, and I didn't know when I ordered it, still don't know, to be frank, whether it's a conversion baritone, so it's spaced out to sit on, a Strat body with that bridge placement, or if it's designed to be a ground up baritone. It doesn't really matter, it is what it is. But if you measure the scale length here, so I'm butting out at the bottom of the nut, going to the middle of the 12th fret, which is this one right here, I'm looking at almost exactly 13 and 16/32 to the center of that 12th fret. And I pull it over here, and to go from the center of the 12th fret out again to 13 and 16/32. You're not gonna be able to see this on my fancy phone camera here, but where that puts you in terms of your theoretical center bridge line before you bump it around in real life for intonation is right here. And I'll bring it closer to that line. So the keen-minded amongst you will recognize that having a bridge mounted, let's see if I have here's a random Jazzmaster bridge that's just on my bench. If I mount a any bridge, but we'll use this Jazzmaster as an example, if I average out the center line of those adjustable pieces, if you imagine those are all in the center, they would have to align with these bridge posts, which would mean I'd need to put these bridge posts basically straddling right over the edge, if not right up against the edge of this route. It's not really a route, it's the edge of the block that we put in the last video. So that means we got to put more wood in here. The concern though is if I just fill this cavity and reroute it kind of higher up for the pickup, I don't want it to split out along that seam. So I'm thinking I might need to route out a little wider. See if you can see the dust outline of my finger. A little wider that way, maybe even a chunk out this way, to get a wider block in there to kind of resist it moving that way from the forces created by, drilling a hole kind of right between the seams of the two laminations. Then I have to go into that new block and route out a fresh pickup cavity. So anyway, if you look at the other kind of concern here, this is I've been fiddling around while I waited for the neck to come, and I shaped up this pick guard. This is just made out of a regular Stratocaster pick guard, but I'm a big, I have a lot of SGs. SG is my favorite guitar shape, so I kind of decided as a design cue to kind of mimic an SG shape kind of in here. I shaped this up by hand just using a coping saw and a lot of sandpaper and patience. It's not perfect, but it looks cool, I think, in place, something like that. Ooh. And by the way, I found out what kind of guitar this is. A first act model guitar body, and I'll put a picture in here of what this was supposed to look like with its pick guard. If I do say so myself, my pick guard looks significantly cooler than the really lame pick guard that came on these. But anyway, I'm not going to be able to use this pick guard because this pickup cavity route in the pick guard, you can see my pink ceiling insulation there, is almost like it's the base of it is just going to be too close. This is basically where I'm probably going to be ending up with that. The new block I've got it insetted here is probably going to have to end up a little bit in this direction, further out than where the base of this pick guard route is. So ordered another cheap pick guard, just a blank one, no problem. I can just the only pain in the butt is I have to do all this coping and sanding again. Maybe I can do a little better job this time, because I feel like the flow of that line, see that right there? That could be better. But so I got a second chance at doing that. It's going to be a fair amount of work. And then I'll have to route the pickup hole in the new pick guard a little bit north of where this one is. Other updates, I have a new, where did I put it? Switch. I got this. My plan is to have this huge heavy duty kill switch in place. So no volume, no tone, just on or off is the plan with this. And this thing it's hard to maybe get the sense of the scale, but it is significantly larger than a regular guitar switch and way beefier on the underside too. I'm just going to run the hot lead from the pickup in there and then transfer that up to the output jack. But I also got to do some routing to fit that in there too, because it wants to land somewhere on there. I guess I can monkey with it where I place the hole on the new pick guard. But that's the update. So I'll move on in the video once I get this set up to route out some more of this, put another plug in there. This guitar is going to be mostly pieces of my maple scrap instead of the original body by the time I'm done with it. The only other update, the exciting thing I've been waiting for on the neck, the reason I had to wait for the neck before I could proceed at all, there's no other way to get a center line on this body. I couldn't really calculate, especially from this dimension, where the middle is, especially because of this offset shape. There's a lot more carved away on this side. So once I got the neck seated, the cool thing about working with this kind of project is it doesn't, when you're working from basically nothing, it doesn't actually matter whether you get your neck seated perfectly straight within the neck pocket. You just need to kind of set that up as a permanent anchor, because you're positioning where you're putting the bridge in both dimensions, forward and back and side to side. So that's cool. It gives you a lot of freedom, so you won't mess up mounting the neck, but it gives you plenty of opportunity to mess up with where you put your bridge. So that's what I'm trying to mitigate now. But anyway, here's our center line. I just derived that by popping a straight edge far up along the neck, tracing that down to here. Same on the other side. These lines actually subtly diverge from each other over space. So, the distance from here to here is shorter than from here to here. That's fine though, because all we need is the center. So that's dead center of the neck. We'll use that to find the center position of the bridge. The stop bar. I'm just doing a regular Tune-o-matic and stop bar, like a standard Les Paul SG style guitar. So those are coming, and hopefully by the time they get here, I'll have that plug seated in here. So stay tuned for some more loud routing. Thanks. All right, so thinking about this a little more, I think what I want to do is actually route into this block that we all glued in here together in the last video. Because again, there's my bridge center line. I think I want to have a substantial amount of wiggle room here. So I think I'm going to inlay this whole block about like this. And that'll give me plenty of space to place the bridge wherever it needs to go. And then I'll worry about the pickup route and all the control routing after I can get that bridge positioned. So that's the next step. Route this out. Same thing we did before, just with another piece. I didn't go over last time. This process seems obvious to me, but for anyone who isn't accustomed to using routers at all, just making a simple template here, just using this junk piece of plywood and cutting out the general shape I want to inlay. And then the idea is you use a router. Here's a router, and the idea is you use these kind of router bits that have a bearing on them. See how that's spinning? So you set up the router so that it travels, this bearing travels against the edge of your template and eats into the wood below it, but as it moves around, the template stops it from going beyond the boundaries of the template. So this is the same template I used for the first route. Just gonna expand it there to there, just quickly with probably just use a handsaw, and then we'll route it out. Okay, so I cut that out. I actually cheated a little and used a jigsaw, and it's not perfect, but that's okay because the router, the curvature of that, the router bearing isn't going to get in these corners anyway, which means as long as this isn't too big, it's fine, because I'm going to need to shape this out to fit into the route anyway. And it looks like it's good. This can be forced in there. There isn't a lot of wiggle room, which tells me it's going to fit in that route just fine, especially because I'm going to have to make adjustments for those rounded corners. So now I'm just going to clamp this onto the body and route it. So there's the guitar body with my template clamped on. Gives you a sense of what's going on here. So this is all going to be our block of wood. So see how much more real estate we're going to get to meet that bridge line right there. Most of this, so we're going to put this whole block of wood, I'm going to put this whole block of wood in there. We're going to end up routing out a lot of it anyway to get the pickup cavity in. But again, this just sort of gives us a clean starting point so we're not messing around worrying about stuff splitting and shifting and tearing out because of that tight tolerance there. So let's make some noise. All right, got it all leveled out here. Brought it all the way down to exactly the same level as this original, the depth of the original humbucker route, the original guitar. So now we just got to make this piece actually drop into there by taking the corners down. And I do that by taking this very glamorous piece of 80 grit sandpaper. It's obviously meant for a sander, disc sander. I have one over there, but makes too much mess in here indoors. And I just do that for a while until it looks like that. And I got it fit. Close enough for gluing. I'm gonna have to tap it in actually. So we glue. Just, you know, like I said in the last video, you really just want to make a mess here. Just as much of a mess as you can possibly make. All right. I was hoping it would sit a little proud of the surface, just a little, so I can sand it down. But it looks like it's actually working out the other way. I went just a tad too deep with the route. That's okay though. It'll look cool, maybe. Probably not. Just doing the old, you know, I'm sure the woodworkers amongst you will appreciate the importance of just squirting glue in all your cracks. You know, it's a traditional technique. Okay, so we'll wait for that to glue up. We'll get the neck back on, redraw our center lines, and then we'll wait for the bridge to get here and install some tuners. And next thing we'll do is we'll actually be able to intonate this thing, believe it or not. And then we'll worry about how to get the pickup in and keep going. Thanks for watching.